Sally supports Billy, Victor surprises Claire, and Nick and Sharon plan a trip. Welcome to the Young and the Restless Best of the Week, where we highlight some of the best scenes, notables, quotables, fashion, and more from the past week. The Young and the Restless Best of the Week. On The Young and the Restless, Jack, Peter Bergman, told Billy, Jason Thompson, that he had gone too far. Jack's, Peter Bergman, blistering takedown of Billy, Jason Thompson, had us on the edge of our seats. The Abbott patriarch is one of the most supportive people a person can have in his or her corner. But if you lose that support, well, all bets are off. Billy should be scared of the future because, for now, he's lost one of his greatest allies. Soaps are about breakups and makeups. It was great seeing Victor, Eric Braeden, and Michael, Christian LeBlanc, tentatively take steps to reconcile. Michael wants to prove he can be loyal to Victor by infiltrating Kane's, Billy Flynn, operation. If there's anyone who can play both sides of the fence, it's Michael. Though he may want to make sure he doesn't make a direct beeline from Kane's train to Newman Enterprises. Most likely, there are cameras everywhere. Victor gently pointing out Kyle's, Michael Miller, good points to Claire, Haley Erin, was touching. In fact, the businessman is giving the Abbott heir a fair chance. It was ironic to see Victor be the one to champion Kyle while he gently accepted Claire's insecurities. The Young and the Restless Moments. Billy, Jason Thompson, and Sally, Courtney Hope, threw a party but thanks to Kane nobody came on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. Letting society out for the night for the party hosted by Abbott Communications. Probably thousands of dollars, even with Abby, Melissa Ordway, giving Billy, her uncle, a discount. Acquiring all of the food, alcoholic beverages, entertainment, and waitstaff. Easily double that. The look on Billy and Sally's, Courtney Hope, faces when they walked in to find the joint empty except for Kane? Priceless. When will people in Genoa City realize that they shouldn't ally themselves with the volatile billionaire? Sometimes, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. It was sweet to see Sally looking at Billy with encouragement as he lay unconscious on the sofa the morning after their fight. She still cares about him. He said he was dreaming. She gently noted that he always was. And she still loves him. We are rooting for these two only because we are concerned about Billy's fate if he loses her. Watching Michael and Phyllis' relationship come back to life was wonderful. These two former besties, partners in crime, and former Genoa City villains have been thick as thieves over the decades. If Phyllis is present, how long can Michael continue to work as a double agent for Kane's company? Kudos to Kyle, Michael Miller, for being open to the fact that Holden, Nathan Owens, is not necessarily the bad guy in all this. The confrontational scenes between the two men were still packed with anger, but Kyle kept an open mind as Holden continued to profess that he was not a threat. Mariah, Cameron Grimes, at long last fessed up about why she split from Tessa, Kate Fairbanks. Mariah, I tried to kill a man. Finally. The Young and the Restless scenes. Nick, Joshua Morrow, let Sharon, Sharon Case, in on a secret on The Young and the Restless Image, JPI. This upcoming Noah, Lucas Adams, story completely piques our interest. Nick gave Sharon, Sharon Case, the 411 on their son, and we learned that a trip to Los Angeles is in Chick's future. When Phyllis, Michelle Stafford, and Nick, Joshua Morrow, hung out in Chancellor Park, we were reminded just how vulnerable the fiery redhead is to her ex-husband. If Phyllis had a choice between having power and money, and keeping Nick's fond feelings for her, we get the distinct impression she'd choose the latter. Some loves simply just don't die. It's clear in Phyllis's eyes that Nick is someone with whom she'd be happy spending the rest of her life. Y&R surprises us by putting together scene partners that may on the surface seem unlikely but actually make total sense. For example, we loved Victoria, Amelia Heinley, and Kyle's interaction at Crimson Lights. Kyle wants to reach Claire, so who better than Victoria to help her make that happen? Notables. Diane, Susan Walters, is making up for lost time with Kyle on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. We get that Diane, Susan Walters, is looking to make up for lost time, given that she was away from Kyle for many years, but she and Jack could entertain pulling back on the helicopter parenting. He's a grown man with a son of his own. Thanks to Y&R for including Diane's knowledge of that fact about Kyle in the conversation. Claire knocking on her grandfather Victor's office door before entering was a nice touch. The only revolving door in Genoa City is the one at the GCAC. Victor's office is due a certain amount of respect. Victoria, likewise, gave the door a quick knock before entering. As a veteran employee of Newman Enterprises and Victor's firstborn, Vicky gets to take more of a liberty than most. Phyllis is the definition of energy in motion. We practically have whiplash watching the redhead think on her feet, swear allegiances, and change on a dime. What is she thinking? We can't wait to see what happens next. The Young and the Restless quotables. On The Young and the Restless, Audra, Zuleika Silva, has a good friend in Courtney Hope, Sally. Image courtesy of JPI. Sally's reluctance to attend the Abbott Communications launch party is felt by Audra, Zuleika Silva. Audra, you're worried I'll ruin the mood or have a real guest. Audra vents that Kyle has some nerve to threaten her. Sally, well, it's because formidable. You're a threat. That's how intimidating you are. You also kind of went after his relationship. Audra fears the worst of being at a party with Claire. Audra, she will spike my drink and watch me foam by the mouth, Sally. Hell froze over in Genoa City. Victor took Kyle's side when Claire had her doubts. Victor, you know, my feeling is that Kyle did what he had to do to force the issue with Audra. Sharon hears Nick talk about artificial intelligence and how it can hurt Newman Enterprises and other businesses. Sharon, that can't really exist, can it? Sharon asks Nick how Victor can stop Kane. Nick, blackmail. Sharon, naturally. Nick, Joshua Morrow, had some alone time with Phyllis, Michelle Stafford, at Chancellor Park on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. This is how tight Nick and Phyllis are. Phyllis, thank you for saving me from myself. Nick, always, although I know you usually can handle things like this yourself. Phyllis, thanks for butting in. Nick and Phyllis overlook the city from a high point in Chancellor Park. Nick, do you think Kane ever comes up here? Stands here and admires Genoa City from below. Thinks about how he can be the master of all his surveys. Phyllis, maybe. Nick, do you ever do that? Phyllis, maybe. The Young and the Restless fashion. At least Nick, Joshua Morrow, got to see Sally's, Courtney Hope, party dress on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. The true crime of Sally and Billy's party being cancelled is that very few people got to see Sally's dynamite dress. Get the info on her Sally's blue keyhole dress by clicking here. Check out the stunning dress Phyllis wore to her meeting with Nick in Chancellor Park. Details on her dark green dress with large floral print can be found here. Esther's, Kate Linda, maid outfit is appropriate garb for her to wear at her job at Crimson Lights. Here's where you can find out about her blue floral blouse that she donned last week. Was Audra going to wear what she had on earlier in the day to the gala? We'll never know, but here's the info on her red asymmetric top. It's not quite fall yet, but Mariah's ready for chilly weather with this warm, flannel shirt. Get the details on it here. Nick sports polo shirts better than most. Here's the info on a green shirt he recently wore on the program. The Young and the Restless musings. On The Young and the Restless, Holden, Nathan Owens, is not put off by Claire's, Hayley Erin, admission that she has harmed her family. Holden and Audra talked about what happened in Los Angeles. Is there any connection between this and the upcoming story involving Noah, Sharon, and Nick? We're intrigued. Even more intriguing was why hasn't Holden been scared off by Claire's confession that she came to Genoa City with vengeance in her heart and that she destroyed her grandmother's sobriety. It's not going to happen, but we would not be opposed to a Nick as Sally reunion. In Genoa City, he is the ex-husband who is most supportive. Sally is the most loyal and wonderful girlfriend, given her support of Billy. If these two got back together, we couldn't see them arguing very much. It is nice when they cross paths, like when Sally showed up at Crimson Lights and bumped into Nick as he was closing up for the night. Sally's not just loyal to Billy. She's firmly supportive of her pal, Audra, too. Audra doesn't have many friends. Sally doesn't walk away from folks. Sets are just as familiar as characters are on soaps. We adore seeing landmarks like the Newman Ranch, Victor's office, the Abbott Mansion, and the Crimson Lights. We need a scorecard to keep up with all the business alliances that seem to be ever-changing. Will the fear of going to jail convince anyone not to use the AI software? Kyle dropped in another reminder that Harrison is on his way home soon. Is he getting old? Stay tuned. Claire has a lot of guts. She demands total honesty from Kyle, yet she, herself, came to Genoa City with evil intentions towards her own family. Want more of Y&R? Be sure to check out The Scoop for spoilers, daily recaps, 2 scoops for weekly commentary, and the Young and the Restless page for Best of the Week and more features on Soap Central. In addition to keeping Genoa City buzzing, The Young and the Restless was a whirlwind of subtle power plays, shifting dynamics, and emotional highs that reminded fans of why this soap continues to thrive after decades on the air. Each storyline carried layers of tension and tenderness, and while the characters moved at their own pace, the tapestry of interconnected drama stitched the plots together in a seamless way. At the heart of the week were 3 compelling arcs. Sally Spectra showing steadfast support for Billy Abbott, Victor Newman offering Claire Grace an unexpected surprise that left the Newman family reeling, and Nick Newman planning a much-needed trip with Sharon Rosales that stirred nostalgia and future possibilities alike. Together, these stories highlighted themes of loyalty, resilience, redemption, and the never-ending quest for connection in a world where trust is hard to come by. Sally's bond with Billy unfolded as one of the most surprising yet heartfelt beats of the week. Long known for her fiery independence, Sally has often been painted as a woman who only looks out for herself, someone who will scheme her way to security. But recent months have shown her evolution into a person who can care deeply and selflessly. With Billy Abbott caught between family loyalty, corporate battles, and his own emotional scars, Sally stepped up in a way that underscored both her maturity and her empathy. Considering how tangled Billy's past with the Abbott family can get, she could have easily distanced herself from his most recent problems, but instead she leaned in. Viewers could see in the way she offered him calm reassurance that her support wasn't about gaining anything. It was about letting him know that he wasn't alone. Billy, who often walks a fine line between reckless risk-taking and heartfelt sincerity, found in Sally a grounding force. Their conversations this week pulsed with raw honesty, Billy opening up about his struggles and Sally quietly countering with encouragement and pragmatic advice. The dynamic between them feels refreshingly equal. She doesn't coddle him, nor does she tear him down. She, on the other hand, acts as a mirror that enables him to see both his strengths and weaknesses. For fans, watching Sally and Billy's connection grow was both heartwarming and intriguing, sparking questions about whether their bond will remain platonic or evolve into something deeper. One of the most talked about occurrences of the week happened in parallel to Billy and Sally's story. Victor Newman surprised Claire. Victor, the patriarch of the Newman clan, has long been known for his strategic mind and his tendency to pull strings behind the scenes. But this week's storyline revealed a more complex facet of his character, a willingness to extend grace and opportunity where few expected it. In Genoa City, Claire Grace has struggled to establish herself in a community dominated by family dynasties and old loyalties. For months, she has walked a tightrope, desperate to prove she isn't just another outsider destined to fail. Victor's surprise to Claire, which came in the form of an offer that both validated her worth and challenged her to rise higher, was a turning point. No one in the Newman orbit had anticipated Victor taking such a gamble, especially given his tendency to be protective and suspicious of those entering his inner circle. Claire herself was visibly stunned, torn between gratitude and disbelief. The gesture not only gave her a seat at the table but also symbolized Victor's acknowledgement that strength and loyalty can come from unexpected places. The ripple effect of this moment promises to be far-reaching. Nikki's cautious optimism, Victoria's possible jealousy, and even Adam's likely resentment will shape how this surprise unfolds in the weeks ahead. For now, though, fans saw a rare softening of Victor's edges, a moment where his role as a kingmaker intersected with his personal desire to nurture potential. While Sally and Billy navigated emotional waters and Victor reshaped Claire's future, Nick and Sharon's storyline offered a soothing counterpoint, the promise of escape. Soap operas often thrive on high-stakes tension, but they also recognize the need to balance the chaos with moments of calm, and Nick and Sharon planning a trip became that breath of fresh air. Longtime viewers have watched their romance wax and wane, their bond tested by tragedy, betrayal, and time itself. Yet through it all, Nick and Sharon have remained constants in each other's lives, a thread that never fully breaks. This week, the idea of them taking a trip together wasn't just about physical travel, it was about emotional reconnect. Sharon, who has been through an exhausting year of professional challenges and personal upheavals, looked forward to a break that would allow her to simply breathe. Nick, too, needed distance from Newman family conflicts and the weight of being both father and son in a dynasty that rarely gives him peace. They talked about their destinations, reminisced about previous adventures, and even teased each other about their travel habits during the planning process. It reminded fans of their early days, of young love and shared dreams, while also hinting at the possibility of rekindling a spark that never truly died. More than just a romantic subplot, their trip symbolized healing and hope. In a town where drama is a given, Nick and Sharon's choice to seek serenity felt almost revolutionary, a reminder that love stories can be built not only in crisis but also in quiet, intentional moments. Taken together, these three threads created a week that was less about explosive confrontations and more about the quiet shifts that set the stage for future storms. Sally's support of Billy underscored the power of empathy, Victor's surprise to Claire showcased the unpredictable nature of redemption, and Nick and Sharon's trip planning hinted at the enduring pull of love. Yet the true brilliance of the week lay in how these storylines intertwined beneath the surface. For example, Sally's growing role in Billy's life could indirectly impact how the Abbotts position themselves in their never-ending corporate rivalry with the Newmans. Victor's faith in Claire might put Victoria or Adam in a difficult position in their personal relationships, which could have repercussions for everyone in their circle. Additionally, Nick's decision to place Sharon ahead of business could weaken Newman Enterprises' defenses, particularly if family tensions rise. The week was less about closure and more about seeds being planted, and fans could sense that Genoa City is on the brink of a new chapter where alliances and relationships will shift dramatically.